Alright, so I I got a few comments on some of my videos, which I'm only doing audio now, so you might, it's going to be strange not calling them, well, I guess they're videos ultimately. In response, those comments were made in response to some other statements I had made about how people tend to cling to books. And a lot of the commenters made a good point. They were like, well, everything you're talking about is from a book. And they're right. Like, things that I talk about, Buddhism, comes from a book. But originally it came from a person. But now it's in book form. And what I mentioned in my videos was that people are they're trapped up in this notion that the truth is what is most important. And I definitely used to be that kind of person, and I still a little bit am. The truth is definitely important. That's what Buddhism is really all about, is, looking at life truthfully. But if you think about it, I challenge Muslims, I challenge Christian, I challenge Buddhists, because it's in the Buddhist story, the Buddha, when he was enlightened, discovered the truth, the all truth. He knew everything. It was the truth, and I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure that that's how it happened, because you can hardly trust your sight. You can hardly trust your ears and your feelings. You can hardly trust those things, because in Buddhism it teaches that all views are wrong views, at least the way I see it. When you look at something, you see it as a certain thing, but you're not looking at it rightly. You might see a tree, and you might say that's a tree, but you're saying that because of how you see that tree. You don't see everything about that tree. You're ignorant about everything that you experience. Your whole experience is ignorant because of how your mind works, the way you make decisions about how things are. And so I don't know about, the point I'm trying to make is that I don't think that the truth anymore is the most important thing. It is important, but it's not. It's like saying, seeing beyond a horizon is important. Knowing what's beyond a horizon, is important. You can't see past it. Your eyes can't see that far. The earth is curved. You can't see around it. You can't see the other side. It is important to know what's on that side. But let's say you're stuck on land, or you're on an island, That's how I think of, sort of where we're at as a human race, as a being inside of this world, this universe, this thing. Is we're on an island, and we want to know what's beyond that horizon. And we can make, reason with it. We could say, what's beyond there is probably, more water, more sea, there's probably more land out there, more people maybe. You can reason things, but you just can't see it. You don't know that it's true until you get there. And the problem with us and the truth is that we never really are able to get there. And Buddhism says the Buddha got there. I don't know about that. Christians would say Jesus or God, or how, the Trinity, how that all, they knew the truth. They were there. I don't know about that. You and me, I would say we don't know that truth. We're not able to see past that. At least I'll admit that I cannot see past that horizon. We cannot see the truth, the entire truth. And so in my videos, I was making a comment that, we tend to, we reference scriptures, this surah or this verse in the Bible, or, the issue of Muslims saying the Bible, isn't true, it's been messed up and it's been edited and things like that, so the Quran is true, or Christians saying the New Testament is the truth, that the Old Testament was leading to it, kind of thing. And we're all fighting about the truth. And the point that I was really trying to make is that, even though, like I said, that's important, to see beyond the horizon, to know the truth on the other side, the reality is that we can't. But we can deal with our suffering. That is what I think is the most important thing that is going on in our lives, is our suffering. You look at the teachings of Jesus, the teachings of Muhammad, you look at the teachings of the Buddha, all of these great people, lots of other great people, teachings and books by people, books that have been kept for years and years. The issue, when I see it, is there's this battle about the truth and then the battle about suffering. And that's why I liked so much. That's why I liked Buddhism so much, is because that is the direct issue. And I don't claim that Buddhism is the only way. It is a good path to help you reduce your own suffering and reduce the suffering of others. It is a good path. But Jesus also taught the same path, to reduce suffering. He taught it in a very simple teaching. Love others the way you would want to be loved yourself. Treat others the way you would want to be treated. Use your own suffering, as a standard of the kind of suffering you're going to put out there. And, meditation, things like that in Buddhism are helpful things that help you release yourself from views, from the idea that, what you see is that's what it is, or what you hear, or what you experience, or the way you think the world is, or what your mind is telling you, or your feelings, or your emotions, are telling you to do, or trying to make your body and go do something. You learn to not trust those things and to do the right thing, to not let those things make you do immoral things or make those things cause suffering. Things like meditation help you put those things in check and control those things. But the truth, definitely, I don't think anymore, I used to think, is the issue. Knowing truth is healthy. And if you can find the truth, like that the sun, the earth goes around the sun, if you can find the truth, then have it, But, saying that, like a book, is the word of God, that's a tough truth to put out there. And that's what I see religions especially, or just people fighting about. They're fighting about what is the truth about that, and that's just, they sort of steer away from the issue of suffering, which is the main issue I think Jesus taught about, the main issue that I think the Buddha taught about. And I'm not as well versed as I should be in Islam, but I bet that is also what, Muhammad also was teaching. Jesus, Muhammad, them teaching about suffering is the thing that, I say, I am Christian because Jesus taught, love others the way, or treat others the way you would want to be treated. Don't steal, don't lie. He taught those things. Good. So I call myself a bit of a Christian, even though I am not, Christian because of certain beliefs that are this battle about the truth. That, we're claiming things are the truth when we don't know. Those teachings are the things I connect with because, and like I said, that's the reason I became a Buddhist, was because it just seems like the Buddha was like, look, we're fighting about the truth, we're doing all this stuff about the truth. I am only concerned with suffering, and so am I. I'm also concerned with suffering. And it took me a while to find out that, before I became a Buddhist, I was very into other religions, including Islamic, including Christianity and Judaism, even mystical Judaism, Gnosticism, things like that. I was very into that stuff, and I kept suffering, and I kept getting distracted because I was just fighting and worrying about the truth. Which religion is the truth? What is being told that is the truth? What is God? Where is God? How do I communicate with God? Can I communicate? I was just so worried about all this truth stuff. And I became less focused with my own suffering and the suffering of others, even though it was always on the back burner. I used to always talk about my favorite precept, which was one precept, which was treating others the way you would want to be treated. It's a good golden rule. It really works, and it really helps. And I used to always, get frustrated with trying to find out the truth and things like that. And I would just get back to that. I'd always just come back to that and always find peace there. And then when I started reading about Buddhism, I started learning that, it isn't about the truth. It isn't about all this other stuff that, people were just like putting out there and think is true and are scared and fearful, It became, coming back to that, peace. Where does peace really come from? Does it come from truth? No. Because knowing the truth is, we all treat it like it's like some very easy thing to do. Just read the Bible, there's the truth. Read the Quran, there's the truth. And it's not like that. The truth is actually very far from us. It's very, mysterious and hard to find, hard to articulate, but dealing with our suffering is right here, understanding what causes suffering, your own suffering, suffering of others, understanding those things the best that you can, adjusting those things, controlling those things, but I found, everywhere, every time I went in the other religions I was involved in, at one point or another, I would always come back to that, treat others the way you would want to be treated. And I would find peace in it. Now I'm constantly in that spot, And I just think the world of religion, the world of, Biblers, the world of Quran, people that just focus on these words, these teachings, these things, even in Buddhist, Pali Canon, these words help, but they're not, you're distracting yourself away from the main issue, which has to do with suffering, the suffering of the poor, the suffering of, yourself. The suffering of the rich suffer too. You may not think so, but if you look at their lives, they have suffering too. They suffer because they can't, help the poor. They don't know how to address the poor. The poor and the rich are separate. They suffer because of that. Suffer because of having too much money. They suffer for a lot of different things. Everybody's suffering. And that is the issue that we need to deal with. That's the issue that I feel like Jesus dealt with. That is the issue that I feel the Buddha dealt with. And like I said, I'm not as into Islam as I should be, but I bet that's what Muhammad was, dealing with, was suffering. Except the Buddha just said, you know what? The truth, not that important. Suffering, always important. Focus on that. Anyway, so I hope this sort of clears up some of the, I don't know, what people got out of some of my last videos about some of these, why I hate religion but love Jesus videos, or why I love Islam, love Jesus but reject, Christian, all these weird videos that everybody's putting around, these poetic videos that people are putting around, my responses to them. I hope this sort of clears that up a little bit.